What is up, book nerds? I'm Rachel Bateman, and this video is all about twists in your book. Now, I actually have kind of a long form video planned about the intricacies of writing a good twist or turn, especially in something like a thriller or a mystery, but that's not what this video is. This video, I want to give my 3 biggest tips for twists in your story. The reason I want to do this before I take the time to really dig into the details of writing a good twist is, well, it's mostly kind of as a place to vent, because I am getting really tired of the twists that I'm seeing in a lot of the thrillers that I'm reading. They are just getting more and more disappointing the more it goes on, and I have a few primary reasons for that. Those reasons have been distilled down into my 3 biggest tips for writing a twist in your book. The first one is not actually originally my tip. It comes from M. Night Shyamalan. If you've watched any of his movies, you know that Shyamalan is known for his twist endings, and he is the man who writes the twists. I was watching an interview with him recently, and the interviewer asks about his writing process and said, you know, when you are writing your screenplays, how do you set up your story for the twist? How do you make it flow toward that twist? And what he said was, I don't view the twist as a beat that I need to hit when I'm writing a screenplay. The twist comes from the characters. And then he told a story that was like, because I had no idea. If you've not seen The Sixth Sense, you're a couple decades behind, but watch it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil the crap out of it right now because, again, you're a couple decades behind. Now, in The Sixth Sense, we have Malcolm, who is a child psychiatrist, and he's had a really rough time because he had a very horrible experience with one of his patients, and he's really down on himself and has lost his confidence. And he meets, I've totally just spaced the little boy's name, but Haley Joel Osment. He meets him and thinks, this is my chance to help another kid and to, you know, regain what I've lost, essentially. And so he's working with him. And then he sees his wife and he talks to her a little bit and she doesn't respond. And then they don't communicate and they never talk. And then you get to the end and you realize, holy crap, this man's dead. He is one of the dead people that this little kid sees. That's what he's been trying to help this kid through, is the I see dead people, and there's obviously something going on, and he's working with him. And then you realize at the end, like, he's been dead the whole time. And the reason he and his wife aren't talking is because his wife is mourning his loss. His wife doesn't know he's there trying to talk to her. And so you have this huge twist, and you know, that essential thing has been done several times since then, and I'm sure it was done before then. But he used this story as his example. And he said, when I was writing The Sixth Sense, I had this story of this boy who sees dead people and the therapist that's trying to help him. And I'm trying to figure out a sticky part and it's not working. So I need to dig into these characters and figure out, who are they? What makes them tick? And the question he asked himself is, why are Malcolm and his wife not communicating? Like, what has gone on to break this relationship so they don't communicate anymore? And that's when he realized that they don't communicate because Malcolm is dead. That wasn't something he was building up to. He realized that kind of in the same way we all did, because it stemmed from the character. It was a character being written that caused the twist, not a twist that he wanted to hit to bring the character. So that's a big one. Your twists, and especially like the big twist, the mind-blowing twist that you have, that really needs to stem from the characters you have created. If it feels like it's coming completely out of left field and doesn't work with those characters, it's going to fall flat. Which brings me to my second big tip for the big twist, and that is that you cannot rely on that big twist to make your book. You need to work on writing a book that is an enjoyable, fulfilling read, even if the person reading it has been spoiled before they go in. Even if they know going in what the big twist at the end is, it should be an enjoyable read unfolding that and discovering how it goes and going on the journey with these characters. If you're relying on the shock of the twist to make the whole book, there is a big problem, because a lot of readers aren't going to follow it until that twist. If you're not writing a book that is enjoyable and fulfilling throughout the book, they're not going to follow it. John Green, back in, gosh, was it 2011? The Fault in Our Stars came out in early 2012. And in 2011, there was a shipping snafu, and a bunch of the copies got shipped early, even though there was a very firm embargo on the book. And he asked his readers to, if you get one, please put it on your shelf and don't read it till everyone else gets a chance. And if you're not going to do that, at least don't talk about it online so it won't be spoiled for everyone else. But then he went on to say that he is firmly believing, and I firmly agree with him, that if a book is written well and the characters are compelling and the story is compelling, even if a reader knows going in what is going to happen, it will be an enjoyable read. And that's the goal, because some readers are going to guess your twist. And some readers are going to look up spoilers online before they read. Some people really like being spoiled. They don't like to go into things blind. I often don't even read the synopsis or the blurb because I like going in blind. But there are people who will read the full plot synopsis, spoilers and all, before they read the book. There are people who are going to ask for spoilers. There are people who are going to read the last chapter before they start the book. There are people who are going to be highly suspicious readers and just assume everyone did it. And so one of those is going to be right. And if you're relying on that big twist and that shock value of the big twist to get people talking about your book, you're relying on the wrong thing. Because what's happening is you're building everything for a twist. And that's going to fall flat. The shock isn't going to be genuine. People are going to feel cheated. You need to not rely on that in order for the book to be successful. Going along with that, this is like tip, 2.5 or 2 part B. The more thrillers I read, the more I'm really starting to believe that anymore, the biggest twist of all is to not have a twist at all. I mean, like, not a twist at all. There's always some level of twists, especially in something like a mystery or a thriller. But that big twist, the big twist is to not have a big twist. Let me tell you, in the last 5 years, with the exception of one book, which, by the way, and I'm not going to name what book it was because I don't want to give this away, but was my favorite one that I have read in the last 5 years with this trope. Every single thriller or mystery I have read where they have had a dead person, presumably a murder victim or a kidnap victim or whatever, they have assumed that they are dead because they've been gone for however many years, decades even, and they don't have a body. That person's alive every time, y'all. If you are reading a book that is focusing on a mystery of a missing, presumed dead person, just assume the person's alive, and they're going to show up at the big twist moment to try to blow your minds because they've been alive doing whatever this whole time. And maybe they've just been hiding because there's someone who's trying to kill them, or maybe they did something bad that they're hiding from and just it's better to be assumed dead, or maybe they are doing something bad currently and they have to be dead in order to pull it off. If there is a dead character, but the body's not been found, they're not dead. Just expect them to pop back up because it has been done to death. Pun was not intended, but let's just roll with it. I read one book early last year, where the dead character who had been dead for years turned out they were actually dead. And it was like, this is what I've been craving. All this buildup, and it wasn't dependent on the big twist of the person being alive. It actually had smaller twists and you're really trying to figure it out and there was a lot of tension and it was a nice thriller, but it didn't depend on that big twist. And I see this all the time with all kinds of twists and tropes where you're trying to come up with the biggest shock value twist. And what happens is, if your reader has read any number of thrillers in the past decade, They've seen it done before. They're expecting the big twist. We have just become accustomed to the big twist. And so we look for them. And when there isn't this like huge twist and it turns out that what is presented to you is actually what's going on, it makes for such a compelling read. That said, I do love a good twist. I loved when I found out in The Sixth Sense that Malcolm is dead, and another Shyamalan movie that if you've not watched it, do, The Visit. The twist in that, I loved it. I do love a good twist, but it needs to feel organic. It needs to come from the characters, and I need to feel like it wasn't put in just because the author wanted a big twist. If it's put in only for shock value, I feel cheated as a reader, and it frustrates me. And that brings me to my last big tip for the big twist. It ties right in, and that is that when your reader gets to your twist, they need to think, oh, how did I not see that? You never want your reader to think, never ever would have seen that coming. They get to the big twist and like, never would have seen that coming. Because if you've done your job, you've put little hints and sprinkled things throughout your book to where once the reader gets to that big twist, they think, oh, duh. Like, I should have been able to put this together. I'm a smart person. I'm a suspicious reader. I'm trying to pick up clues left and right. I should have been able to piece that together. That's what you want with a twist. If you have a twist where they never would have seen it coming, and it feels like it's coming out of left field and it doesn't make sense, you feel cheated as a reader. I feel cheated as a reader. And those books that have these twists that just, there's no indication that that would possibly be the case, I feel cheated. Now, what I'm about ready to say is going to be sacrilege for a lot of mystery readers, but maybe the number one offender is Agatha Christie. Woman hides her clues and she holds them back from the readers, and then she's like, big twist, and you're like, cool, dude. Glad you gave absolutely zero indication that would ever lead me to believe that. She doesn't do that in all her books, to be fair, but I have read a fair few where that was the case, and I know she's like the queen of mystery, partly because she had a real life mystery, and everyone like worships at the feet of Agatha Christie if they're trying to write mystery, but she played dirty with her readers a lot, and that wouldn't fly today. I think if Christie were publishing the books she did back then, today her readers would be like, hard pass, woman, you need to give us some clues. You need to give us an indication that this was coming, because I feel cheated and I feel like you just put this in order to try to shock me, and it doesn't work. If you don't have any indication throughout your book so your reader could try to put it together and have those clues in the back of their mind, even if they're not piecing them together, the reader feels cheated. It all kind of flows together when you think about it. I gave you 3 or 3.5 tips, and really they're all the same big tip. And that is to just make your twist work organically with your story. You're not writing a story for the twist. You're writing a story that happens to have a twist in it. Glasses wearing people on YouTube. Does this drive you as crazy as it drives me? Like, every time I happen to glance over there, I'm like, I can't see my eyeballs. Anyway, it all rolls together. And it all comes down to plot being driven by character and not the other way around. When you let your characters drive your story, the twists can be shocking, and they can be surprising, and they can be mind-blowing, and they can be huge. And they also make sense. And your reader doesn't feel cheated, and they don't feel like they just read 200 pages just to get to the punchline. I love thrillers, and I love mysteries, and I love guessing, and I really, really love when I figure it out before it's revealed. But I really, really hate when I feel like I read an entire book just for the scene of the gotcha twist. I feel cheated as a reader. In my mind, there are two versions of a really good thriller with twists, and one is one that I am reading the whole way and trying to figure out, and I can't quite make these pieces fit together. I can't quite do it until it starts being revealed, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it, it makes sense. That is really fulfilling. And the other one that I really, really love, and this happened recently with a book called The Night Swim. If you've not read it, I really enjoyed it, with the exception of one tiny, tiny, tiny detail, and that's that a town of 96,000 people is not small enough for everyone to know each other, despite how many times they said that everyone knows each other. Anyway, I really love a thriller when, even if I figure it out early on, as I did with The Night Swim, it is wildly enjoyable the whole way through, reading and seeing how it unfolds. I love that. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, and I'm looking at my camera and realizing I'm going to run out of battery any second, but that's okay because I've given my tips. And my biggest advice when writing twists is to stop focusing so hard on the twist and instead focus on creating a fulfilling, cohesive story that will have turns and twists in it, but not as the focus of it. How do you feel about the big twists in books and movies? I want to hear all about it down below. Go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I will do more videos about mysteries, thrillers, and the twists in them. And if you've not subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and do that now and tap the bell so you are notified of my future videos. I'm Rachel Bateman, and I'll see you back here next time.